Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, rather. Um, we're back in my studio here at the TSG Academy, and I won't be doing this show alone. I actually have one of my interns, my coaching interns, Murtaza here, who's also on the CFL program. And what course are you doing with the business golf management? He's on that golf management program as well, and he's been interning with me as a coach for the last 4 or 5 months. Of course, he'll be helping me demonstrate a lot of things. We're going to talk about long game technique today. I'm going to talk about the different positions in the golf swing. And I know this last um, 1 month you've been bombarded with a lot of golf technique and what should happen where. At TSG, we follow a certain system. Um, at TSG, we follow a certain system. So I'm just going to take you through that and how we teach our players and show you also how we make certain improvements. So I'm going to take you through the 10 positions that we look at. And these positions are important because they serve as a key method of diagnostics for us here at the academy. We can diagnose issues um, very, very easily following the system and also fix them. I'm going to take you through a very basic level, I would say a basic version of this. There's a lot more, it can get more and more detailed, and I don't want to bombard you with a whole lot of technical stuff. I'll show you some basic positions so that if you guys ever video yourself, maybe you can kind of figure out what to look for and what are the causes and effects of the same. So I'm going to actually share my screen here, and Sia, you can tell me when the screen is visible.
Sure, sir. Your screen is visible.
Okay. So what you're seeing here is basically um, a player here who we use as a model, pretty much to go through all the different positions. So we have about 10 positions in the golf swing. Position one, or what we call P1, we basically call each position P1, P2, P3, just so you know. So going on the face-on view, which is the screen on the left, P1 is address. Very, very importantly, what I like to see at address, especially on the face-on view, is you can see here how this player's toes are pointed outwards. You can see both his toes are pointed outwards. This is very, very important if you want your hips to turn correctly. And again, that will lead to a whole lot of better movements in the golf swing. You definitely want to see about 60% of your weight more on the left side. And we'll talk about why that is. And you want to see, the lead arm and the shaft more or less in a straight line and address. Okay, and this, you can see it goes all the way up the left shoulder, and the left shoulder, right, is essentially your radius point, and that will determine where you will strike the ground first, at the ball, before the ball, or after the ball. So P1 is address. On the right hand side, you can see very, very nice athletic posture. I won't go into too much of that right now. P2 is the first move back from the swing. You can see how the club shaft is parallel. That's how we know it's P2. And the club head over there on the right-hand side screen is pretty much in line with the hands. You can also see that the hands have moved back closer to the body. That's what we want. That helps everything moving more as a unit. P3 is when the left arm or the lead arm, because from a lefty it would be the right arm, but we're looking at a right-handed golfer right now. But the lead arm is parallel to the ground. Essentially, what you would see is, again, the weight starting to move a little bit again towards the lead side. You can see here how the right knee is straightening, the left knee is flexing forward. This is very, very important for your hips and your pelvis to actually move the correct way. And you want to see your pelvis pointing more downward, a little bit less than what the shoulders would be pointing at that point. But that's pretty much why this is important. Okay, here we have about 60% of the weight on the left side still, and 40% of the weight on the right side. And this is very, very important if you guys want to strike the ball better. A lot of times you will see people shifting their weight onto the right side too much in the backswing, and that causes a big issue because it's very difficult to get back from there. So this is the top of the backswing here. You can see clearly that some more weight has actually shifted onto the left side there. This is P4. P4 is the top of the backswing. At the top of the backswing, again, look at the knee positions here, very, very important, right? For those of you who watch good players, you'll see all of them, their right knee tends to straighten a little bit. And if the knee is too far bent at this point, you could be looking at some serious back injuries. Because what that does is it doesn't allow your spine to move the right way to get into this position. So that's the position of the knees on top. There's a gap. There's actually, you can see there's daylight between the knees over there. You can see a bit of daylight between the knees. And his weight is pretty much, I would say, 60-40 favoring the left side. Now we go to P5, which is the first move down, again, where the left arm comes into the same position at P3, which is a left arm parallel, right? At this point, coming in closer to P5, you'll start to see the legs and the knees starting to actually get back into the original address position. So here you will see the weight starts to shift a little more towards the left. We'll probably be at about 65, 35 at this point. P6 is an important position for diagnostics. This is when the club shaft is parallel to the ground on the downswing. Here you can see again about 80% of the weight is shifted onto the left side, 75 to 80% of the weight is shifted on the left side, and the club head is positioned in front of the hands. Remember, these positions are for reference. Nobody is looking at a perfect position out there. But this is a very, very important position, especially when it comes to direction. At impact, you want to see almost 80% of the weight. That's the impact position there. You want to see at least 80% of the weight on the lead side. And another very important factor that I forgot to mention at the P6 position is you notice the positioning of the hands on the face-on view. They're directly in front of the trail thigh. Right? This is what we call a good release position. It's an on-time release position. Many times, and I'll show you some videos as well where we start to do some comparisons, where you will start to see that this position is different for a lot of people, causing a whole lot of different things. Again, at impact, you can see here the left arm, the shaft beautifully in one line. Okay, the hands pretty much in front of the lead thigh at this point. About 90% of the weight's on the left side. The right foot, okay, the right foot is in a banked position. This is called a banked position. You don't want to, many times you'll see with many players, the right foot kind of and the knee starts to kick in very, very early, causing issues there. But the feet, the trail foot is banked at this point. And this is a really, really good impact position that we look for. Anything close to this, of course, is good. When we go to P8, P8 is where the trail arm is basically parallel to the ground. P8 is where the shaft is parallel to the ground, and P9 is where the trail arm is parallel to the ground. Sometimes P8 and P9 can almost be the same position, right? So the screen on the right hand side it's about P9.5, but without that you couldn't really see the arms and hands. And then of course we go into the full finish position, which is P10. So these positions are important in terms of us diagnosing issues, and when we look at swings, we always have references so that we know where we need to look and which piece is broken so that we can actually fix that. And that is how our system works. It's an adaptive system pretty much where the system adapts to the player and we only put in what's required. No one's trying to build a golf swing that looks exactly the same. Remember that. And that is a little bit of a misconception. Um, we don't have a golf swing, or we don't want a golf swing that looks the same for everybody. We want to have a system of training that has a lot of pieces that we can put in so that we can solve the issues. Now, a few of you have sent in your swings, but before we go in there, want to talk to you about what are the fundamentals of the golf swing, of playing good golf. Let's put it that way, rather than the golf swing. And I know we've spoken about grips, we've spoken about the setup, we've spoken about the ball position, we've spoken about aim and alignment as fundamentals. But to me, those are not really fundamentals. It might sound strange, but that's because every player has a different grip today on the PGA Tour or on the LPGA Tour. Every player has a different way of aligning to the ball. Every player has a different ball position. Every player has a different stance or posture. So there are no two grips that are same. There are no two postures that are the same. There are no two ball positions that are same. Some players like to aim right and draw the ball back. Some players like to aim left and fade the ball. So if those are not the fundamentals, if the grip, the setup, etc., are not the fundamentals, then what are? So again, like I said, this is the terminology that we use because we're not saying that. I'm not saying that the grip is not important. I'm not saying that alignment and aim is not important. It is all very, very important. But those are, I would say, variables that we can look at. And if there's an issue, we'll talk about it. But there are basically three things that you need to do well if you want to play golf at any level. There are three things you need to do well if you want to play good golf. The first one is a good strike on the ball, or strike the ball before the ground, or the club striking the ground ahead of the ball, right? That's the first fundamental, because if you can strike the ball the same way every time, and if you can strike the ball on the way down before with an iron shot before you hit the ground, you're making good contact, right? And that's the first thing that every club golfer today, every amateur golfer struggles with, right? The second fundamental is power. You need to have a lot of power to be able to enjoy your golf, or power, or at least enough power to be able to hit that drive far enough or hit those irons far enough. So your second fundamental is power. If you have power, you can play. And the third fundamental is curvature control. You've got to be able to control the amount the ball curves in the air so you can control direction. Now, as a golfer, irrespective of what your grip is, okay, you could have a strong grip, right? You could have a very weak grip, irrespective of what your grip position is, irrespective of how you stand to the ball in terms of your aim and alignment of the ball position, irrespective of all of that, if you can adhere to all these three fundamentals, if you can hit the ball well, if you can hit it far enough, and you can control the curvature, you really don't need to worry about your golf now, do you? And this is why also sometimes you might see a lot of golfers with very, very funny looking golf swings still being able to play well because they had all the three fundamentals. So am I saying the PGA Tour players have perfect golf swings? They don't, but they take care of those three fundamentals. Another very important thing to note is that if you're doing a golf lesson, this is my advice to all the players out there, club golfers, if you're not attacking one of those three fundamentals, right? If you're a mid-level player, because if you're a beginner, I understand. If you're a mid-level player and you go for a lesson, you've obviously got an issue with one of the three, or two of the three, or all three. So any lesson that you do should attack one, two, or all three of those fundamentals. Otherwise, I personally don't believe it's a good lesson, right? I can make your swing look beautiful. I can make you have a wonderful follow through. I can do all kinds of things to your swing. But if it doesn't improve one of those three fundamentals, your golf is not going to get better, right? So, and there are certain things that help you with each fundamental. To give you an example, let's say good strike on the ball. There are two very, very, very important things to have a good strike on the ball. Okay, is Murtaza, if you can just face the camera and let's talk about this in impact position. Have your hips forward and your handle forward at impact. So if you look at a good impact position, right, you can see how his handle is forward and his weight is also forward, right? Those are two very, very important things for a good strike on the ball. Weight forward, Murtaza, weight forward. He's got his weight forward at impact and he's got his handle forward, right? Sure, the hips might have turned out a little bit, may have turned a bit open there, that's fine. But if he's in this position, right, you're most likely going to have a good contact, right? Now, let's talk about the second fundamental, which is power. Now, most of us, because I aim at the computer screen, so you can go forward here. So most of us look at the backswing, and I think we're all often told that we need to have the arms going straight back and up. But if you just lift your arms straight up, right? If you lift your arms very high like this, okay, and they're not matching the shoulder plane, which is like this, you're going to lose power. Now, why is that? Why is that? Why is taking the backswing vertically up going to help make you lose power? Because very simple. If I'm going to slap somebody, right, will I slap them like this? Or will I actually take the arm more around my knee and then slap them, right? So the golf swing is a circular movement. So I need to have the club swinging more around my body, right? That's how I can actually create more power. And if you look at most of the swings, and I'll show you many of them today, most of the swings that you see today are players with the arms lifting. Now, there are many reasons for that, right? But that's one thing you can look at as a major loss of power, both with junior golfers, amateur golfers, club golfers, and maybe sometimes the professionals as well. Third fundamental is club face, curvature control, right? And we've often spoken about how the club has to roll over or the release of the club, right? But often I think, again, this is misunderstood because the more club face action you have, the more your swing starts to depend on timing. And that makes it dangerous. So we have a lot of players who roll the wrists over through impact or have been told to release the club, but that can actually be quite dangerous. While it can give you a bit more speed, it plays havoc with your direction control. So if you look at the impact and post-impact position of a lot of good players, and I'll show you maybe Tommy Fleetwood and some of the other guys' swings, you'll see the club has not really done that. There's no major release there because you don't need that to actually hit a golf ball straight, powerfully, or even with a draw. So when we're looking at it, if I see, we know what positions of the golf swing, if I see the P4 position with the hands very, very high, right, I know that this player has a big chance of becoming a slicer. So the more inwards you can take the club, and the more chance you have of coming on plane. So what is this coming on plane? How do I know I'm actually in a good position? I'm going to share my screen again. Sia, you let me know if the screen is okay.
Yes, sir. It's fine.
If you look at the P5 position from the down the line view, this is very, very important. Okay, as the player is coming in the downswing, so this is the downswing. Right, now one thing you can see on top of the backswing as I was talking, okay, on top of the backswing, the left arm or the lead arm of the player and the shoulder are in one line. That is very, very important. And as the player comes down in the downswing, and this is what we call where the hands enter the body. In the downswing, you'll see that it's coming in pretty much through the bicep, the trail bicep, this position here. But if you look at most club golfers today, you'll see that their hands and their shaft comes in way over the shoulder like that. And that is the number one cause of your dreaded slice. And this is a shot that everyone and every golfer, is dealing with today. Every club golfer comes in there and he or she has got this huge slice. And if you look at the P5 position, that's where the problem is. But the cause again is different. So probably how they're taking the club back. And that's how you've got to train. So if you look at, I'm just going to pull up a video of one of my players just to do a comparison for you. This is when this player had just come to the academy, and right at the top of the backswing, you can see the top of the backswing, his left arm and the shoulder are in two completely different planes of movement. So what is going to happen here is when his left arm is that high up, and where did this come from? If you look at it, it's primarily because during the backswing, right, he went straight up and he tended to lift the arms too much. And now, if you look at his P5 position, which I'm showing you, and you do a comparison from the left screen to the right screen, you can see where his hands are coming in there, and the club shaft is coming in well over his right shoulder. Very, very common thing we see in a lot of junior golfers and a lot of club golfers, right? And the funny thing is, this player who's actually very powerful is going to lose a lot of power because now his whole swing has to change to accommodate this. And this is why it's very important to have good positions, because once you're in a wrong position, once you're in a position, your body is basically then going to start getting into recovery mode, right? So what happens from here is this player has no choice but to jump up, because if he didn't jump up, right, he would basically really duff that shot. Secondly, if I show you the other angle, right, at impact, because he's coming in so vertically, right, you see two things here. You see where his hands are at the P6 position, and comparing it to this player here, you can see the hands are quite a bit away from that trail thigh. This means that he's actually releasing that club, or the release point as we call it in our system, is a little early. And because of this, sorry, I'll just share the screen again. And because of this, you'll see now his impact position. You can see the lines formed by the left arm and the shaft. They're actually the opposite direction. And that is going to cause a very, very, very weak impact position as compared to this player here. You can see right there how the impact positions are different. Right? Very, very common issues. And so now it's time to obviously put the pieces in, and this is very, very clear to us why a certain thing is happening. So we actually start with the backswing, put the pieces in, and if I were to show you the same player today, this is that player today. I'll just zoom in a little bit so you can see clearly. You can see where, again, his release point has come nicely in front of his right thigh. So pretty much matching there. If you look at the impact position and move into the impact of the same player, you can see it's pretty much in the same spot there. And if I were to show you the other angle of the same player, we'll just zoom in so we can get a clearer view there. And from being really, really steep, right, now he has, because we changed the backswing, you can see here now at the backswing, we have the same player with the left arm and the shoulder plane matching right there. Now what that is doing, again, is basically helping you come down better. So now you can see where his hands are entering the body, and you compare to where he was some time back, right? It's quite a bit different. So he's gone from somebody who was struggling with a slice to a very, very powerful hitter of the golf ball, fairly straight ball flight to a draw without much of an issue. So this is one of many examples where we see a lot of new golfers are going through this issue. So we can see how just something as simple as taking the backswing more inwards. Okay, so Murtaza, why don't you just demonstrate again? Right, oftentimes we want the backswing to go more inwards. And again, a very, very good and easy drill, okay, is for you to actually hold the club, or for the coach to hold the club, or anyone to hold the club just above the trail shoulder, right, over here, and have players understand that they should take the backswing underneath that, right? Now you can see here how his left arm and his shoulder are in one line. So he's more likely going to come in a much better plane here with more power and what we like to call pretty much a built-in draw, right? Because your golf swing is circular, right? Pretty much if you set up correctly and you swing correctly, the draw, and a powerful draw, is actually built into your swing. So number one issue there is basically, now number two, when we look at contact, as you saw the weak contact, you'll see, just demonstrate the weak contact, face the target, is yes, where the hands are behind the ball coming into impact, okay? Right, this is another very, very common thing. But guys, remember, this weak contact is actually because the player is coming in very vertical and has no choice but to release that club early like that, or extend the wrist. Otherwise, the player will come crashing into the ground with the club. So, I got a message from, I'm just going to share my screen again. So I think, Sridhar, if you're watching, this is your player. And this was sent in by Sridhar from Vizag. You can see very, very similar things here in terms of the action. So I'll go through the action again. Right, you can see here how her hands, or the left arm, is too far outside. It should be way, way more inside here. More inwards is what we call. We want the swing going more inwards. Now what this leads to, again, is a position on top. Right, where the left arm and the shoulder are on a different plane here. And again, that is leading to all the same issues. You'll see how vertical the swing is. You see the club coming now again over the shoulder. Ideally should be coming down through the bicep, right? And you have to understand, this is a junior player, so every junior obviously will search for power. And this is very, very common that we see. In fact, the player will actually get more power by coming from the inside. And now, because she's so vertical, she'll have to jump up on her toes. So you can see here how this player is on their toes. Otherwise, she won't be able to hit the ball. Right? And you can see how much her head has had to lean back over there. Right? So I'll show you the other angle as well. You can see here how much she's had to lean back. Okay, and if you look at the club has already gone there, and the hands are in this line. And if you look at the head is leaning way back. So this player will definitely have quite a few issues with contact and distance. So when your weight is so far back, remember the first fundamental about making pure contact, right? The first fundamental about making pure contact. What are the factors that determine that? Is the weight location and the handle location. So this player again, this player again has the weight completely at the back, so head's falling back quite a bit, right? So have your head falling back, quite a bit, so you can't even do it that much. He's there, and the handle is quite a bit far behind. So the weight behind and the handle behind, right, is going to cause a whole lot of issues. So how do we fix something like this? Okay, face that way. The first thing we would do with this player is get the backswing sorted and at the same time get the weight location sorted. So the backswing would be make sure the player goes underneath the shaft so that the left arm and the shoulders are in a good position. And then face the camera, and then right, you gotta get them to feel there's more weight favoring the lead side. You have more weight favoring the lead side at the top of the backswing, right? And so when you come into impact, right, you have the hands forward, okay? You have the hands forward and the weight forward. Very, very common thing. And both junior golfers as well as club golfers can really benefit from this, right? And one of the key things is to also have them finish with the arms straight. It's a very, very good drill. So Murtaza, do a continuous movement. And if you just ask the player, once they've figured this out, keep the weight on the left side and finish with the arms straight. Just hit balls. You can see how his arms are very, very straight there. The arms are very straight. That's a great drill for juniors to be able to improve their impact position and club golfers for that matter. So again, if I were to share my screen to show you something similar that we did with a player. So again, if you have any questions, we'll take them at the end of the class. But just to show you how the chain reaction happens in a golf swing. So just to show you how the drill works. So this is a player here, a junior golfer. And if you look at the screen on the right-hand side, right, she's got a pretty good position, but coming in, you can see how her right knee is kicking in, and the release point of the right hand is the release point of the swing is very, very early. You can see she's well outside her. But what this is affecting is going to have and she used to have an issue with a lot of duffs and a lot of thin contact, because the weight wasn't going in the right place, the handle location wasn't in the right place. And you can see how the handle or the club head has kind of overtaken the hands through impact over there. Now the same player, what we did was just got her, sorry, I'll share the screen again. We just got her to basically hit balls with the arms straight. So you can see now the waist favoring the left side nicely. Okay, and look at that impact position there. You can see very clearly how our hands and the handle is nicely ahead and continues to stay ahead. And then she goes up to a simple straight arm finish. Right, that's the finish position that we work with the player. So there are some very, very simple drills that you can do to help. So again, if you look at which fundamental are we touching here, we're touching fundamental number 1, which is good impact. Right? Similarly with Sridhar students, the first fundamental, and if you were to touch the swing, what are the fundamentals that we would actually touch? So which Sridhar's student, face that side again. The first thing if I were to do were to improve the backswing, okay? If I would improve the backswing, that would touch fundamental number 2, which is power, because now he's swinging more around his body. That's fundamental number 2. The player will start becoming more powerful. Okay, face the camera now, face on. And with the weight being forward, okay, at impact, with the weight being forward and the handle being forward, I am touching fundamental number 1, which is pure contact. This player will make pure contact all the time. And with the arm straight, okay, what's going to happen is the player's club face is going to be much more in control now. Right? There's going to be no flipping of any kind. So you're also now touching fundamental number 3, which is the curvature control. So if you see most of the swings, we'll always see these 3 fundamentals out of whack somewhere, and something in the swing is causing it. And we always have to do some sort of recovery. So most people, and I'll go into some more swings here. So you can see certain issues. Okay, this is Mr. Prasad Tagar. I couldn't get a good angle here. He sent me the video. Couldn't really get a great angle there. But it's very evident here. Okay, even though the camera is moving, okay, there's a lot of camera movement here, is that he's kind of vertical coming down. This club is quite a bit vertical, and there again comes all the other problems. Let's look at Virendra's swing. This is a video from inside his house today. I think he's hitting a foam ball here. But again, if we went into it, okay, you'd see, even though he's got a good position going back, coming down, right, he's coming quite a bit closer to the shoulder. So he's a little vertical there. Very, very common issues, again, that we see. Now, going into the other issues, another thing you might see, again, this is another junior golfer. Well, he's not a junior anymore. He used to be a junior golfer. Now, looking at the P6 position here, this is an issue where you see he's coming down through the bicep nicely here. But at P6, right, you can see the club is lagging behind the body quite a bit. Okay? I'll do it from the face-on angle as well, right? And I'm just going to draw a line up from his left foot so you can see that there's a lot of rotation. You see how his hips are rotating there, right? And that has caused him to be very, very inside. Now, what does this cause? Again, this is another important thing. We're always told, we have been told a lot that from the top of the backswing, just rotate the hips quickly left. So, yeah, so just do it very slowly, Murtaza, so everyone can see. Okay, yeah, you see, we've been told to rotate. You see how his hips are completely rotating out of the way from the top. And that's not a very, very good thought to have from the top of the backswing, because that's the first thing that causes the club to actually fall behind. Okay, and even though we've been told that you've got to rotate a lot for power, there's certain truth to that. It's not false, but there's a sequence in how you do it. But if you just rotate from the top, right, that's going to cause your club to drop in. And what that player you saw in the video is going to have an issue with is, because he's so far stuck behind, he's going to block shots to the right, as well as hit these huge hooks to the left, right? So then what should your hips be doing from the top of the backswing, right? The first move that your hips actually make is what we call a slide forward, right? And from there, once you slid forward nicely, right, from there you've got to turn, because this gets the weight nicely onto your left side. Your low point is in front of the ball, the hands also have time to drop down correctly and come out in front of you, right? A lot of time for that to happen, and then you're going to strike the ball really well. It takes care of many different fundamentals. Now, if you don't get your weight shifted forward in the first move in the downswing and you just start to rotate, right? That is what your dreaded reverse pivot where you're turning off the back foot. And this is exactly what this player is doing over here. You can see here how the weight has actually gone backwards as he hits the ball. All his weight now is on the back foot, and he used to hit big hooks. So compared to maybe what she is now, we compare the same position. You can see at the same P6 position, right? His club head is nicely out there in front of his hands there. That's his club head right there, as opposed to his club head being, where it was there. Secondly, with regards to the weight location, okay, we saw that this boy was quite a bit on the back foot there as he turned. And now you can see even at setup, this player has a lot more weight on the left side, and at the top of the backswing, he's still got a lot of weight on the left side, has not shifted his weight, right? You can see very clearly he's straightened the trail knee, and from there, he's come down into a really, really good impact position with all the weight, or 90% of the weight on the left side. So this player obviously is going to be hitting the ball much, much better now. And just to talk about the slide, I'm going to pull up Tommy Fleetwood's swing. So let's just find the face-on swing. Okay, so if I drew a line up there from, let's say, the players, just ahead of the player's ankles, or at the player's ankles, a 90-degree line, you'll see any good player will first slide the hips forward. You've got to slide the hips forward and get ahead of that line or into that line as much as possible. So you see Tommy as he goes back and he comes down, watch how his hips slide forward. They're actually getting ahead of that line. And then now he's got weight on his left side. He's got his low point ahead of the ball. And from there, he can make a powerful swing to the ball. But this is also very important for those of you who are purely thinking about rotation from the top of the backswing. If you purely rotate, you're going to have a lot of issues with how your hands and your body sync up. So this is also very, very important. Get the weight onto the left side first by sliding the hips. You have to slide the hips first, and then from there, you're going to start the rotation. It's natural. But you can see how far ahead of address to impact Tommy is. So if I just put this as the address position, and I set this as the address position, right? And I take him straight to impact. Watch that left hip. I want you to watch that left hip. Can you see the difference there? Address, impact. That left hip has gone quite a bit ahead, right? And this is what all good players exhibit. All good players have that hip moving forward. So how do we work on this and how do we practice this? Simple exercise, a very, very simple exercise can be, Murtaza, if you face the target, take your backswing to the top. Now, first do the slide component a little bit, slide forward, and then turn and hit the ball. Okay, let's try again. You take it back, slide forward a bit, good, and now turn, right? Now you're going to have a good position in the swing, and you're going to have your weight location correct. You're going to have your handle location correct to make a really, really good swing. So another very, very important thing about being a slicer of the ball, and this is very important for you to understand, is if your weight is favoring the left side, right? If the weight is favoring the left side, so Mutaz, hit towards the computer screen, right? If your weight is favoring the left side, so let's go back, slide, right? You'll see that it's very difficult for the hands to come from the outside. They'll always drop into the inside, right? And they'll always be moving outwards. The club will always be moving outwards rather than inwards too much. So if you're a slicer of the ball, right, all you have to do really is get your weight forward, okay? And address, keep the weight forward through impact. You probably stop slicing it straight away. That's your built-in draw right there, because think about it, it's very difficult to bring the club from the outside if my weight is forward. If my weight is forward, the natural instinct is to bring the club more from the inside. And this weight issue causes these three fundamentals, which is good contact, power, and curvature control, to go haywire, because they create a whole lot of other issues, in your swing. So whether it's a junior golfer, whether it's an amateur golfer, understanding these positions is one thing. I would not suggest that you start teaching this, to yourself. It's a little difficult. The reason I've asked you for certain swings so I can analyze it well, because we're seeing the same thing. This is a lot of commonalities here. And if we can just get you to understand how your body movements can change just a little bit, you'll see how much better you hit the ball. And even with junior golfers, it's very, very important that we get these fundas right. So, so this is another young junior golfer of ours. Just going to zoom it in a little bit so you can see it a little clearer. There you go. So this is a player again coming in. Okay, pretty good at the backswing, but sequentially again rotating from the top instead of that little bit of a slide, causes that club face again, the club shaft to again come in a little bit over, right? And you have to understand that just because you change a few things does not mean that everything gets sorted out immediately. You have to obviously train it. But now, what is this player going to do from that position? Again, as you saw, the most common thing would be to jump up, because if you're coming in steep, you have no choice but to jump. And as you will see, this player here has to start moving upwards and then gets on her toes and jumps up and hits the ball. So same player here on the right-hand side after a bit of training. Okay, so we've got her going more inwards now in the backswing, right? Now, some people might say, you know what, this is too far inside. Your hands are going too far inside, but it's actually going to help her, because if she goes inwards, and if you look at here, her left arm and shoulder, actually the left arm here is a bit lower than the shoulder plane, which is fine. It's not going to be an issue as long as we check her downswing. And now you see she's coming down beautifully through that trail bicep, as opposed to the left screen. If you look at the left-hand side screen, you can see that she was quite a bit vertical. There's quite a difference there. So now this player doesn't really need to jump up on the right-hand side. The player doesn't need to jump. Will attack the ball quite nicely there and go through nicely with a good spine angle. Right? No doubt she's been hitting the ball actually further than she was when she was jumping up, purely because, of course, the contact is better. She's not having too many issues with duffing the ball and steep contact either. Right? And so what was the drill, again, that we work on with a player like this? How do we fix a young junior golfer who's coming way across across the line in spite of the backswing being good. Again, put this again in position. Simple. All you need is a golf club. You need a caddy or your coach who's a little bit of patience in the computer screen. All we do is get the club over the trail shoulder and get the player to just keep hitting balls without moving this club. There and underneath, right? So that gives the player a good idea of what they need to do, a good feel as well. And again, all of you guys who do have this problem, this is a great solution, right? So just to recap what we spoke about, okay, 3 fundamentals: low point control or a good strike on the ball, right? And that is determined by 2 important factors: is the weight location and the handle location, right? If you've got your weight in the right place and the handle in the right place, right, you're going to make good contact. Second one is power. Okay, power is simply if I go more around my body, I have more chance of gaining power. And remember, I'm keeping it very, very simple here. There are many other factors that can come in here. I'm not talking about a whole bunch of things. But if I keep it simple and you focus on just these very simple things, guys, you guys will play really, really good golf. And the third one is your curvature control, which is your club face. If you can just basically learn how to hit shots without really seeing too much of club face action, and just do drills, hitting shots, keeping the club face or the arm straight, hit shots, keeping the arm straight, you'll start to see a lot of improvement in how you control your direction as well. So that pretty much sums it up for today, I think. If there's anyone whose swing I haven't analyzed, it's usually the same things that we see. You'll always see the downswing being a little vertical. In all the swings that were sent to me, I didn't see anyone except for Ashok. I think Ashok Andrews had the same issue of the hook, right? Because of the P6 position, it's the same thing. Maybe because again he was going into this whole rotation move, which again causes the club to kind of fall back quite a bit. So I think that's it for my positions in the golf swing and how it relates to what actually is happening with a whole bunch of you golfers. I'm okay to take some questions now. If you have any, I'll see if I can answer them. Sia?
Yes, sir. All right. So we have few questions. I'm gonna just read them to you one by one.
Okay.
Moving on to the first one. How does temperature and altitude affect the distance, especially when a player is playing in a different country?
Well, that's not really related to our question today, but it does affect it. I mean, altitude, the air is thinner, so the ball's going to fly longer. If it's cold, if it's a cold day and the air is heavier, low temperatures, the ball flies less. So depending on where you are, if you've done your testing, if you do your testing, you'll figure it out. There are many ways that you can figure it out, right? Using a TrackMan to see how much less it goes or more it goes. There's no exact calculation for it. Unless you're Bryson DeChambeau, you can figure it out, within five minutes.
All right. Moving on to the next question, sir. Can you explain P7 again elaborately, if you can?
P7 is basically your impact position, right? This is again the impact position. P7 is critical because that's the moment of truth, right? And what I like to see in P7 is the weight forward, the handle forward, okay? The shoulders fairly square, right? The hips kind of slightly opened up. And if your weight and hand is in the right position, you're halfway there to making really, really good contact. And again, the handle forward and maintaining that handle forward as long as you can will help you to stabilize your club face also better.
All right. Moving on to the next question, sir. Can you elaborate on the role of the right foot through the backswing, impact, and follow through? My right feet tends to lift early.
Okay, so again, very, very common problem. The right foot lifting up early. So now there is a certain thing in the right foot, especially again if you're rotating really quickly from the top, right? You have this happen, right? So what's the right foot when I slide correctly? You see that right foot over there? This is called banking, right? If you look at most good players, right, they bank the foot. So in the backswing, right, your right foot is stabilizing, the knee is straightening, right? There's not much, the right foot is pushing off the ground, so there's pressure movement. So you're pushing off, so it's almost like that, right? So there, the right foot is pushing off the ground. The weight's going on the left side though, but the right foot is pushing off the ground. And as you come into impact, the foot is banking, right? The foot is banking, and post impact kind of gets up. So I can show you again if I go into a little bit of a screen share, just to show you how the right foot has to move correctly. Not sure if it's this player here. Can you see the right foot of the player there? How it's banking beautifully as opposed to somebody who's across the line and the foot is jumping up, right? That's very, very common. So I showed you the model coming into impact. Look at the right foot there. It kind of is banking there through impact. And again, this has to be really practiced a lot. And still banking, and then starts to move up like that. That is the role of the right foot. And if you have an issue with your right foot jumping up, what you can do, make your stance, give me at the computer, is you can take your sand wedge and ask the player to lift your foot up. Yeah, put it down. Right? You can actually put it under your foot like that. And then slowly hit shots, making sure that you don't let the sand wedge drop until you make contact. Post contact, you can allow the sand wedge to drop. Until you make contact, don't let the sand wedge drop. Okay, that's a very, very good drill you can do. So it gives you immediate feedback and awareness as to what it feels like to train the right foot down. Now, why is it important to get the right foot down? It actually gets your body working the correct way. If you let the right foot jump in too early, this is when everything goes out of sync, right? And again, we will see this with a lot of junior golfers because they're searching for power, right? Which is fine up to a point. You don't want juniors to search for power, not to search for power. But I always feel if you have them swinging the club more around their body, they can hit as hard as they want, right? They're searching for power the right way. You want to search for power the right way.
All right, sir. The next question. Can sliding the hip forward lead to swaying through the swing as opposed to rotating?
Okay, so there are two different movements that you're talking about in the same question, right? This is a sway, which is my backswing. This is a slide, which is a downswing. So the slide can't lead to a sway, right? They're two completely different actions, right? Now, too much of a slide, right, can lead to a lot of your body tilting backwards, right? But trust me, it's very, very difficult to do that. I see more players over-rotating than actually sliding correctly forward. So the slide cannot lead to a sway, firstly. It can only lead to good things in your golf swing. So we have seen a lot of drills where, what is a nature stance? Facing the camera. You put a stick, you put a toe stick or a club in front here, and don't touch. A lot of people tell you not to touch it, so you kind of start to over rotate, right? You should actually bump your hip into that toe stick or into that chair in front of you, and then from there you should turn. Because what it does, the slide, it actually gets your low point forward. You're actually going to hit the ball first, and then the ground, and you have great contact.
All right. The next question, sir. Since we don't have the ability to hit balls due to lockdown, can you suggest how can we work on these positions at home?
So what I would suggest you do at home, if you're willing to work on, let's say, even just fundamental number one is which is making pure contact, okay, is a simple exercise. This is get into the position. Is take your setup position, okay? Now, this is a beautiful drill you can do to improve your low point, okay? Move into your impact position, Murtaza. You see how his hips are moved forward? So this is going to become your start position. in this drill. This is going to become your starting position. Take the backswing back to P3 and then finish at P8 with a straight arm, right? Without letting the weight shift onto your right foot. Let's try again. Weight forward, hips forward, handle forward. Okay, take it back to P3. Keep the weight there. You see his weight is still pretty much on the left side. And then go forward to a P8 position and stop with the arms straight. You're going to make really, really good contact. Simple exercise like this, do it 50, 100 times a day. And then you can actually hit some balls on the range when the lockdown opens up. You'll see a great, big difference in how you, and how you strike the ball.
All right. The next question, sir. Are the positions same for all the clubs, wedges to driver? These positions that are
Yeah, pretty much, but with the longer clubs, like I said, the plane will be more shallower, right? But you're looking for pretty much the same things, whether you're hitting a driver or a wedge. You want to make sure that the positions are similar or close to the same in terms of where the club head is in relation to the hands and the body, how the arms go back. It's pretty much the same. It's not going to be too much different because the club is longer with the driver, right? The plane may be more shallow. That's a little different, but otherwise, the positions are pretty much the same.
all right. Sir, how can I hit a power fade or push fade by just altering the alignment?
Um, so a push fade actually is a good way to hit a fade because that way you don't lose any distance on it. So how can you hit the push fade? It's a bit of a setup change. All you're going to do is, let's say you're set up at the computer again, right? All you have to do is move everything more leftward, right? Move everything more leftward and make sure that that face is pointing, the club face is pointing where you want the ball to start. So if it's a push fade, right, you have to actually be aimed quite a bit left of the target. The face has to be aimed right of where you're standing, but still left of the target. So it starts over there, and then just swing along your body line, right? Just swing along your body line normally, and you should be able to hit a very good push fade through that. Don't keep your club face closed at address. Keep it square, maybe even slightly open will even help. Now, you have to hit a few shots, and only after you hit a few shots, you'll kind of figure out how much your face has to be open, how much you stand left, right? This can't be spoken only in theory. You have to experiment a little bit to see what works perfectly for you, but that's the general way to do it. Your body is aimed left, the club face, okay, is aimed even further left of the target. So when you push it, the ball starts left of the target, and then it fades back to the target. That's a very successful push fade.
All right. So the next question, someone's asking, I have been told that I raise my shoulders at address. What does that mean?
Also, I don't know. Raise your shoulders at address. It's very difficult for me to answer that question. I really don't know what it means. I raise my shoulders at address. So you'll have to be more specific or send me a video or a picture of that. I'm very sorry, I didn't understand. It's difficult for me to visualize what you're saying.
All right. So the next question, can you elaborate on the right sequence for hinging?
Hinging of what? Can you be more specific? You mentioned what? Hinging what? Okay. So the right sequence, again, if we just talk about the wrists, now, when you talk about hinging, there are a lot of different factors going in there. So there is actually radial deviation happening. Okay, there's wrist flexion happening, and there's pronation and supination happening. Okay, so actually the wrists are doing different actions in the golf swing. So the backswing actually is this action combined with this action, combined with a flexion, and that's my backswing, right? So if you're just purely talking about the radial deviation, okay, then ideally what you'd like to see, okay, what you'd like to see is by the time you reach P3, you want to see like a 90-degree angle here. But again, like I said, there are different players. Some of them have less loading of the wrists. Some of them have more loading of the wrist. Okay? Remember, all of it has to tie in together in your swing and match up so that you get really good contact, impact, and good direction. So there's no perfect sequence, but if you want to look at a sequence that's thought about and taught a lot, by the time you're at P3, the left arm and the club should be in an L position. Right? You can see here, over here, by the time you're at P3, P3 is where the left arm is parallel to the ground for a righty. The wrist has hinged completely.
All right. So what effect does the gap between the feet have for different clubs?
Obviously, much more solid foundation. If I'm hitting a driver, I need a wider stance, right? Because making a much wider swing, so you have a much more solid foundation. So if you're hitting a small chip, right, then you don't need such a solid foundation, so you can keep your feet narrower. It's basically for stability. You want to be stable. That's why you want to have a wider or a narrower stance on various shots.
All right. So we don't have any more questions.
Okay. Great. I think it's been it's been about an hour. So yep, that was fun. If there are any more videos or questions that come in, I'm happy to take them. But 1 second, let me just see if I've answered everyone's questions here. Because some people had sent me videos and yeah, pretty much done. I think everyone's got the same issue. There was Ashok, Andrew's swing. So here again, Ashok, just to show you, your club is coming in quite a bit from the inside. Okay. As opposed to, if you look at this player here, the club is more in front of your hand, and this is what's causing your blocks and hooks to the right. So if you improve your P6 position, you should be okay. But yeah, I think that's about it. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Sia. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Murtaza.
So we just got, I think, 1-2 questions more. Will you be taking those?
Sure, why not?
All right. So can you demonstrate the low point for a driver?
That's a good one. Take a stance facing now. So, the ball position of the driver obviously is going to be much more forward and more opposite your left foot. Right? So the low point is usually located in front of your lead shoulder. That's where your low point is located. So usually, for most good players, the low point actually matches where the ball is positioned. So we have an attack angle of 0 or 1 degrees only upwards, right? But as you can see, he's got more lean toward the right over here with the driver. And depending on your level of a player or what you're trying to do, you can either lean more, which gets the low point further back, or you can push the ball a little more forward if you want to get a better angle of attack. Now, with a lot of professionals and amateurs, like I said, we keep it almost level or even because that gives you the maximum control. With amateur golfers and club golfers, we like to have the club moving more upwards. So we move the ball more forward and we get a little more secondary axis tilt and a bit more weight on the lead hip.
All right. So we'll end the session with one last question. How far ahead can my hands be at address? How far is too far?
Good question. Again, good question. Ideally, you want it to be somewhere between somewhere around your first belt loop. Okay, you don't want to be too far because that will deal off the club face. If your hands are outside your body like that, it's not good. Should be somewhere at a dress position. Get your dress. Yeah, somewhere close to your the first loop of your belt, first loop of your trousers. Sorry. right? So you don't want to, and I think you'll figure out how far it is forward. Again, it's dynamic because if your ball is flying too low, and obviously you don't want to get your hands too far forward because you could be here at address and coming into impact that could change because the swing is dynamic, right? So more than address is a good way to set it up. At impact, right, you want your hands out in front of your lead thigh, in front of your lead thigh.
All right. So one question again we've got. How can I increase distance when driving?
Now there are many ways. You have to see what actually is happening and why you're not driving it far enough. So it could be a club speed issue that's caused by your coming in very, very vertical, as I said, because if you're steep, you're going to lose club head speed. That could be a contact point on the driver. You're maybe not hitting it on the center of the driver all the time. So it's very difficult to answer. If you're a regular golfer, you have to probably get your swing analyzed first to see how you can, how you can maximize the potential of your driver. It could be your angle of attack generating too much spin. That's a very broad question, difficult question to answer exactly. I would say visit your professional just to get an idea of what's happening with the swing, with the driver or the contact point, the angle of attack, and put that all together and figure out how to hit the ball another 20 yards.
All right. Sir, we don't have any more questions. We can conclude and.
Right. Thanks. Okay. Thanks, everyone. For those of you who sent in your videos, thank you very much. Just work on these drills. I think 3 fundamentals, if you can focus on, which is good contact, power, and curvature control, right? If you can do these 3 things successfully, I think you guys will become pretty good players, as good as you can be. And always, if you're doing a golf lesson, make sure that the golf lesson is touching one or more of these 3 factors. That'll always leaving the lesson, more satisfied. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Mutazza, again for your effort. Thank you, guys. See you soon.